Okay, so the title of the lecture is Super Thesis, and I came up with that because a thesis is something that provides you with the controlling idea for your paper, and that means that it controls everything that's going to follow. That makes it a bit of a superhero, right? It's got lots of powers. All right, so first off, what is a thesis? If you had me in class, then you know what a thesis is. So what is a thesis?
The last sentence in the introduction.
Claim plus proof. Actually, the last sentence in the introduction is usually where we want the thesis, so that's its location. But a thesis is a claim plus proof. The two parts of proof. Facts, evidence, data. These are the words we use to describe part of the proof. The other part is reasoning. Okay, so what I like to call the proof part of the thesis statement is a proof synopsis. Who can tell me what a synopsis is?
A summary?
A summary, the high points, a really brief summary actually. And so you're going to get the high points of the proof in that thesis statement. Let me back up a second. This is a thesis, but what is a thesis statement? What's the difference? Is there a difference? We sometimes use these interchangeably. The thesis statement is that sentence that appears in the first paragraph, usually in the last sentence. The thesis is the overall argument that your paper is making. So it's an important distinction. So one of the keys to writing a successful thesis is to keep it simple. You've heard of KISS before? Keep it simple, smarty, or keep it simple, silly, or keep it simple, stupid, or whatever version you've heard. I like keep it simple, smedley myself, but keep it simple, right? That means you don't want to have too long of a thesis statement. You don't want to have a claim that is so indecipherable they can't tell what you're talking about. You want it to be simple. I'll give you an example. Who knows what the thesis of the Declaration of Independence is? Don't know what that is? The Declaration of Independence? Ever heard of this document? No one wants to tell
All
me.
men are created equal.
Well, that's one of the claims in it. But if you think about the overall argument, everything that is being stated here in the Declaration of Independence, what would that be?
That you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit
That's one of the claims that appears,
of happiness.
but that's not the thesis.
No, the thesis.
Here's the thesis of the Declaration of Independence, and if you are forced to read it again at some point in your college career, if you haven't read it already, here it is. These colonies are now free. Okay? That sentence doesn't appear, does it? In the Declaration of Independence? You don't remember reading that in the Declaration of Independence? These colonies are now free. Well, Jefferson took a lot of time and effort and reasoning to get to this thesis. But this is the point of the thing, right? So this is what you call a constructed thesis. Because in the Declaration of Independence, there is no overtly stated thesis. You have to construct it, figure out what the argument is. It's an implied thesis. Your instructors don't want you to do this. Okay? If Jefferson was in my class, I would take points off. He should have said this. These colonies are now free in the first paragraph at the end of the first paragraph. Right? That should have been his claim. Y'all aren't joking or laughing at my bad jokes. What's going on here? All right, so these colonies are now free. But this is only one part. This is the claim part, right? What's the proof part? It's going to be reasoning, right? It's not likely that he's going to present, or that you should present your evidence in your thesis statement. Okay? Save that for later. You want to present reasoning. So, everyone got this that wants it? I'm going to erase this now. These colonies are now free because what are the reasons Jefferson gives in his thesis? Is it this? King George sucks. Is that it? No, right? That doesn't work. And this is not working. It's not erasing my purple. Let's try black. Okay, so Jefferson comes up with some reasons, right? If you can think back to the last time you looked at this document, what are those reasons?
Taxation.
Taxation. And bad behavior. What specifically bad behavior? Can we sum it up into one word? Does that work? Quartering of soldiers, all of these things that were making the colonists upset. What else?
Lack of representation.
What?
Lack of representation.
That's exactly it. No representation. All right, so some reasons why these colonies are now free. If you ever read it again, I invite you to think about it in terms of what it's doing rhetorically. That's all it's doing. It's making this argument in this manner. Okay, any questions about this? I'm going to stop talking here in a couple of minutes and we're going to do some workshop type stuff. You're going to do some exercises, some activities, practicing, developing the thesis. Let's see here. You want to keep it simple on your thesis. So I'm going to give you a topic. And I want to, one of the things I do in my classes, I demonstrate that I can create a thesis out of thin air just like that in less than 30 seconds on any topic you give me. Doesn't matter whether I know anything about the topic or not. How am I able to do this? Well, I follow the claim plus proof rule with the equation that I put on the board. Claim plus proof, that's all you've got to remember. Make some kind of a statement, a claim, and then give reasons to support it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a true thesis, right? Doesn't have to be true. Is it valid though? If it has a claim and proof, does it fit what we are looking for as a thesis?
Yes.
actually does. And so you can revise it later if it's not true. If it turns out to not be true after you've done research, doesn't matter. You can then revise it later. The important thing is to remember to get down a claim plus proof. So, let's see here. I'm going to give you a topic. The best way to practice the Solarian levitation ritual. Here's your topic. You have no idea what that means, right? Can you produce a thesis on this topic, having no idea what it means? Well, if you use claim plus proof, you sure can. So, take out a piece of paper. And let's try. Let's see how we do.
Yeah, I got it.
So, in case you're wondering what the Solarian levitation ritual is, I made it up about an hour ago as I was thinking of possible topics for a thesis. There's no such planet as Slar, or place as Slar, or country, or city, or whatever. People can't levitate, right, generally?
Christine.
Do what?
Said Christine, you can.
You know, that's trickery, but... So, the best way to practice the Solarian levitation ritual. Put that into the form of a claim plus proof. If you are having trouble, I'm going to give you a hint. The best way to practice the Solarian levitation ritual is... So, what have you come up with? Let's have some examples. I was going to bring candy and toss it out, but I don't have time. So,
Well, the best way to practice the Solarian, the ritual, I guess, is by meditating because it allows one to connect to the spiritual world.
okay, the best way to practice the Solarian levitation ritual is to meditate because
Because it connects you to the spiritual world.
it allows you to connect to the spirit world. Is that a claim plus a proof, or a piece of proof?
Yes.
Yes, it is. It's that simple. Janelle has a thesis. Could she write a paper on this? It depends on how good at making stuff up she is, yes, but she could, just by talking then about meditation connecting a person to the spirit world. What else do you have? Who's got something?
The best way to practice the Solarian ritual, levitation ritual is to use the power of 3 because 1 is a lonely number.
Okay, the best way is to use the power of 3 because 1 is a lonely number. Does she have a thesis statement here? By definition, what we've said a thesis statement is, claim plus proof, she's got a thesis statement. One more, and we'll move on.
The best way to practice a Solarian levitation ritual is to shoot hoops outside because in Solarian they shoot hoops to relax.
Okay, there you go. You have successfully built a thesis statement. You want to try?
No.
What have you got?
I didn't finish it.
Okay. Well, you're going to get another opportunity. We're going to do some more. Because I need to talk about that whole claim part of the claim plus proof. There are 5 types of claims that you can make in rhetoric, basically. This is one way of breaking them down. Some people argue there are more or less. But for our purposes, I'm going to go ahead and say there are 5 types of claims. Claims of fact, claims of definition, claims of policy, claims of evaluation or value, claims of cause and effect. So that claim part of your thesis statement can be one of those 5. A claim of fact gets kind of difficult because it's not always easy to determine what's a fact and what's sort of factish, right? So the example I always use in class is the Earth is an oblate spheroid. That is a claim of fact. Is it true? That's been proven, it's true. There are those kinds of facts that are scientifically proven, and there are some other kinds of facts that are difficult to deal with. As freshmen, sophomores in college, it's best that you don't pursue a thesis that is a claim of fact. Save that for when you're juniors and seniors. It'll make your life easier, just trust me on this. Claims of definition, it's hard to write a paper over them. Alright? You're just defining something. It's a definition of something that is used usually in support of some other central claim or primary claim, thesis claim. But when we, oh, by the way, the best way to practice the Solarian levitation ritual is whatever is what kind of a claim? Well, it's evaluation. How do you know? It's a claim of value. The word best. What's the opposite of best? Worst. When you make a claim that involves making a judgment about something, calling it the best or the worst, successful or unsuccessful, good or bad, you are making a value judgment. And so this is a claim of value or a claim of evaluation. Okay, does this make sense? You can certainly use a claim of evaluation to write a research paper or to write papers for your classes. They work out quite well. Let's see here. Another claim that I gave you, or the type that I gave you, is the claim of policy. Anyone know what policy is? Claim of policy. No ideas? Well, who comes up with policies? Governing bodies come up with policies, right? Governments, school boards, you name it. They come up with policies. So a claim of policy is a claim that is directed at someone who can actually do something. So if you make a claim that states the U.S. government should do something about this problem, you're making a claim of policy. You're using a claim of policy. Does this make sense? This is the easiest kind of research paper to write. It's the easiest kind of thesis statement to build. So we're going to practice that.
What was the 5th type?
The other type was cause and effect. And we're going to do one of those too. So the U.S. government should So, there's your topic. What should the U.S. government do with regard to any kind of a law that you want to see instituted?
Gun control.
Okay, so are you going to put that into a, do what?
Like legalize marijuana.
Well, write it down. I vote the U.S. government should institute a weekly party every Friday that is required by law. that runs from 4 in the afternoon to midnight. That's my claim. The U.S. government should require a party every Friday because it will help with community relations and help unify the country. Where are my reasons? Who's got something?
I got one.
Okay.
The U.S. government should ban the use of cell phones while driving because it would decrease the number of accidents.
Okay, that's a thesis. Can he write a paper on this? Easily, right? Now, usually we have more than one reason, right? So, for this exercise, we're just putting one reason up there, but usually you have 3 or 4 reasons. And what happens with those 3 or 4 reasons is they become what?
Body paragraphs.
Body paragraphs, right? Any other theses out there you want to share? I'll call on you. What do you have?
The U.S. government should legalize marijuana because it will improve the economy.
To improve the economy. Okay. That's a thesis. He can write a paper now. Any questions about how to use a policy claim? Policy claims in your undergraduate years are your friends. They're the easiest kinds of papers to write, in my opinion. They always work for me. All right, we've got the cause and effect claim last. Let's see here. Here's your topic. Explain why the Saharan Desert is growing every year. Saharan Desert is growing every year. This is a cause and effect claim. Something is causing this desert to grow every year. Your thesis claim is going to, your thesis here is going to give me the cause for the effect. Who's ready?
I have a simple one.
Okay.
The Saharan Desert is growing every year because of global warming.
Okay. Is this a cause and effect claim with a reason that's explaining the... Yeah, it's explaining the effect. Now, keep in mind again, multiple reasons are what will allow you to write a longer paper. So, anyone have multiple reasons? Or just come up with one? Anyone have anything different than global warming?
Deforestation.
Okay, the Saharan Desert is growing every year because of deforestation. You put those together, you've got 2 reasons, right?
Migrating.
And global warming.
What?
And global, like deforestation.
Deforestation and global warming. You've got 2
Right.
reasons why this is taking place. And then
People
use
can
those.
migrate to other countries or something.
Human migration. That probably has an impact. I think it's the fairies making the sun hotter. They are sprinkling some kind of dust on the sunlight coming in personally. That would be my quick made up reason, because I would not have had any research, right? To support any evidence, but That's just me. Okay, so see how these different types of claims will affect your pursuit of a thesis. Any questions about this? Okay. One more thing. How much time do I have?
What time is it?
Just a few minutes, I think.
Okay, one more thing I wanted to add before we're finished is the evidence part of this. So, your thesis statement is going to contain the claim and the reasons why the claim is true. What's going to support those reasons? Evidence. And you can think of that. I'm going to draw this really bad drawing that I'm terrible at. Your reasons are the columns. And down here you've got your evidence or your data or your facts. Okay, this is an easy way of remembering what's most important. You've got to have the thesis, the argument itself. It's got to be supported by reasons. And those reasons have got to have evidence. Now, the fact that I can make up a thesis on the spot, and now you can too, just by using this claim plus proof equation, doesn't mean that you're going to be able to write papers on the spot. Because you've got to have evidence to support those reasons. And if it doesn't, you've got to change. You've got to revise your thesis until the evidence supports the reasons. Okay, does this make sense to you all? Once you structure that thesis statement at the end of the first paragraph and get it nailed down, it will control the outcome of the entire paper. You can just follow it right down the line, paragraph by paragraph. Okay, if there are no questions, I am done. I am out of material. Okay.